When you think of tree sap, you probably imagine something sticky that ruins your shoes or gets all over your hands if you're unlucky. What you don't expect is to find a miniature graveyard, or even stranger, an entire prehistoric soap opera trapped inside it. But that's exactly what amber is. Nature's time capsule. Every now and then, a tree bleeds resin at the right moment, at the right place, and what it captures becomes a window into a world long gone. Sometimes it's ordinary like ants or flies, but sometimes it's creatures so bizarre, so out of place, that it almost feels like nature was experimenting and then accidentally left us the receipts. So today, we're going to explore the strangest, creepiest, and downright weirdest animals ever discovered in amber. And trust me, by the end of this, you'll never look at that pretty yellow gemstone the same way again. Amber isn't just hardened tree, it's a survival mechanism. Trees release resin when something goes wrong. A wound in the bark, an insect invasion, a fungal infection. Think of it as the tree's emergency band-aid mixed with bug spray. But here's the kicker. Resin is also ridiculously good at trapping anything that touches it. Imagine walking across a forest floor, minding your own business, and suddenly finding yourself drowning in molasses that turns to stone. That's basically what happened to countless small creatures across deep time, and because resin hardens so fast, it preserves details in shocking clarity, sometimes down to individual hairs or cells. That's why amber is so scientifically valuable. While normal fossils usually only preserve bones, amber can trap everything. Skin, feathers, soft tissue, even moments of behavior. Which is why some of the weirdest amber fossils aren't just animals. They receive creatures frozen mid-action as if someone hit pause 100 million years ago. Now, most people think of amber as Jurassic Park DNA storage. Sorry to break your heart, that's not happening. DNA, even under perfect conditions, lasts only about 6.8 million years. Most amber is tens of millions, even hundreds of millions of years old. So yeah, dinosaurs aren't coming back. But what amber actually holds is, in some ways, even cooler. Real bizarre snapshots of evolution's strangest experiments. Let's start with something unsettling. A lizard that wasn't a lizard back in Myanmar. Paleontologists cracked open a piece of amber expecting to find a baby chameleon. It had the tail, the body shape, even the beginnings of those googly eyes. The kind of find that would rewrite reptile evolution. But when they scanned it with CT imaging, they realized this wasn't a chameleon at all. In fact, it wasn't even a reptile. It turned out to be a completely new species of amphibian Euxia peritea. Picture a salamander-like creature, but with a ballistic tongue almost identical to a chameleon's. This was convergent evolution at its finest. Two totally unrelated lineages solving the same problem in the same way. Both wanted to eat fast-moving insects, so both evolved spring-loaded tongues. This creature wasn't just bizarre, it was alien. A window into a world where amphibians weren't just slimy things hiding under logs, but miniature predators armed with weapons modern animals barely rivaled. Spider with a bonus. Okay, fair warning, this one might ruin spiders for you forever. One chunk of amber from Burma preserved a daddy longlegs relative, also called a harvestman. Nothing unusual there until researchers noticed its private parts. Let's just say this spider's penis was fully extended, mid-display. When the resin got him, the preservation was so detailed that scientists could use its genitalia to classify it into a brand new family. Imagine that. Your legacy written not by your bones or your DNA, but by your fossilized erection. And while it's hilarious for us, it's also scientifically important, because sexual anatomy is one of the key ways arachnologists classify species. Still, I can't help but think this poor guy became the most embarrassing fossil in history millions of years later, and people are still laughing at him. The beetle with a flashlight now for something straight out of science fiction. A glow-in-the-dark beetle, preserved for nearly 100 million years. This tiny insect still had its photic organ intact, the biological flashlight it used to glow. Unlike modern fireflies though, this beetle's glow wasn't for romance. Instead, it probably evolved as a warning signal to predators. Don't eat me, I taste terrible. So yes, while T-Rex was stomping through the forests, the undergrowth may have been twinkling with living lights, just like modern forests filled with fireflies. Evolution's disco balls, glowing in the shadows of giants. A snail giving birth now. If you think childbirth is stressful, imagine going through it while being slowly drowned in tree resin. One amber specimen captured a land snail mid-birth, literally in the act of delivering tiny newborns. Scientists could even see one baby still attached to the mother. This snail, Cretaturtulus agignans, wasn't just unlucky, it was a revelation. It proved that some snails were giving live birth 99 million years ago, instead of laying eggs. And the look of sheer oh no preserved in the snail's extended tentacles makes this one of the most tragic and bizarre deaths ever captured. The dinosaur tail in amber. We can talk about bizarre amber finds without mentioning one of the greatest discoveries ever. A dinosaur tail, found in Myanmar amber. This tail wasn't just a bony impression, it still had skin, muscles, and feathers. 8 vertebrae, perfectly connected, complete with tiny feather barbs. What makes it bizarre isn't just that it existed, but that it showed us something no fossil ever had. Dinosaurs didn't just probably have feathers. They definitely did. And not stiff flight feathers either. These were fluffy ornamental ones. This little theropod wasn't gearing up to fly, it was showing off. And if that's not surreal enough, chemical tests revealed iron traces, meaning there might still have been blood in the tail when it was entombed. Imagine a dinosaur bleeding into tree resin, frozen mid-moment for us to discover nearly 100 million years later. The spider vs. wasp showdown, one of the most cinematic amber fossils ever discovered, captured a fight. A juvenile orb-weaving spider, just about to sink its fangs into a wasp tangled in its web. The wasp, parasitic by the way, was known to lay eggs inside spider egg sacs, meaning its larvae would hatch and eat baby spiders alive. So in a sense, this was poetic justice. The scene looks like it was directed. Predator versus parasite, locked in their final struggle. Even a second spider lurks nearby, as if waiting to see the outcome. And then resin fell, freezing the moment forever. It's the only fossil ever found of a spider mid-attack in its web. Nature's own action movie, preserved for eternity. The ancient flea of death now for one that's less funny, more terrifying. In amber from the Dominican Republic, scientists found a 20-million-year-old flea. Strange, sure, but nothing shocking. Until they noticed clusters of bacteria around its mouth and rear end. And not just any bacteria, the same pattern seen in the microbes that cause plague. Which means this tiny insect could represent one of the earliest examples of plague-like disease in history. Millions of years before humans existed, fleas were already carrying microscopic killers capable of wiping out entire populations. Suddenly, amber feels less like a pretty gemstone, and more like a warning label. Plants, to not all bizarre finds are animals. Some amber captured flowers, mid-pollination. That's right, 99 million years ago. Flowers were getting busy with the help of insects, and resin froze the moment forever. Scientists could see pollen grains stuck to stigmas, even pollen tubes starting to grow down toward ovaries. That's like fossilized sex caught in high definition. It may sound scandalous, but it's scientifically groundbreaking. It proves that by the mid-Cretaceous, flowering plants and insects were already in cahoots. The great alliance that reshaped Earth's ecosystems was well underway. The baby snake, lastly. One of the strangest, a newborn snake, no longer than your pinky finger, preserved with 97 tiny vertebrae and unfused bones, proof it had just hatched. Another piece of amber even had its shed skin, complete with perfect scale patterns. This showed that snakes weren't just desert or swamp dwellers, they had already invaded forests, slithering under the feet of dinosaurs. And more importantly, it filled a massive gap in snake evolution, proving they were far more widespread than scientists once thought. So, why do these bizarre amber fossils matter? Because they're more than just curiosities. They prove things about life we never would have known otherwise. That snakes birthed in forests earlier than expected. That amphibians evolved chameleon-like tongues. That dinosaurs wore feathers, not for flight but for display. Amber doesn't just preserve bodies, it preserves moments. Births, battles, embarrassments, even diseases. And that's what makes it so magical. Somewhere, in a deposit we haven't uncovered yet, there could be even stranger things. Maybe a lizard eating a bug while being eaten by a snake, all captured in resin. Or maybe, just maybe, something so bizarre we can't even imagine it yet. So next time you see a piece of amber, don't just think pretty gemstone. Think of it as a message in a bottle, sent from a world 100 million years ago. And sometimes, that message is bizarre, tragic, or embarrassing. But above all, it's proof that life, in all its weirdness, always finds a way. Thanks for watching, and until next time, on Dedzu.